the $3.7 million film Clusterfuck. Warning. Clusterfuck incoming. Warning. Clusterfuck incoming. Warning. Clusterfuck incoming. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and there's an almighty clusterfuck on the horizon. But don't be concerned. It's not going to pose a problem for you unless you're mental and you watch the product, if it ever appears. But it's going to be a clusterfuck in relation, of course, to the gruesome twosome and their attempts to be relevant once again. Yes, news originates that Harry and Harry's wife to produce Netflix film in bid to rebuild their Hollywood dream. Oh, yes. The grifters are at it again. Lazy 1 and Lazy 2 have decided they're going to spend some money in order to try and rebuild their Hollywood dream. Apparently, they've spent in the region of $3.7 million on the rights to a novel. But let's find out what it's about, because that's going to provide much entertainment. Elizabeth High in the Daily Mail writes, Harry and Harry's wife are planning to produce a Netflix movie in a bid to firm up their futures in Hollywood, after a turbulent few months saw them part ways with music and podcast giant Spotify. It was reported last night. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are said to have bought the rights to the romantic novel Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, which experts estimate could have cost them up to £3 million. So it looks like Carly might well be getting her surname as a consequence of this expenditure by the Sussexes. The production will mark their first off-camera project together in what could be a make-or-break moment for their TV fortunes. Of course, if they actually ever get around to doing it, bear in mind, of course, that Harry's wife took 2 years to put out several episodes of Archetypes. And with regard to Netflix, we've only seen their 6-part shit series. They're not exactly prodigious when it comes to output. Meet Me at the Lake, which sold 37,000 copies in its first week alone, is a romantic fiction based on two people who kindle a romance with one another in their 30s. Much like the Duke and Duchess themselves. It also describes the trauma faced by a character who lost a parent in a car crash as a child. Oh, did that happen to anybody that we know? And goes on to cover themes including alcohol and drug use, topics which the Prince talked about at length in his bombshell memoir Spare. And in a nod to Harry's wife's past, the novel is based in Toronto, where the actress lived while filming Suits. An insider told The Sun,
the themes of the book gripped the couple, and it was chosen for their first adaptation with Netflix.
The project comes after the couple lost their reported £16 million deal with Spotify after one series of Harry's wife's podcast, Archetypes. But the purchase of the rights will do Harry and Harry's wife little imminent good, because Hollywood has all but ground to a halt due to a screenwriters' strike that has lasted for months, which many actors have joined. Some PR experts have also questioned why the rights were sold to the couple, arguing the book was such a success, it would likely have been picked up by more experienced producers. Since leaving the life of working royals, the couple have caused controversy over their international hit Netflix series Harry and Harry's Wife and Prince Harry's later release of his memoir Spare. Both made a string of accusations against the royal family, yada, yada, yada. We've heard all of that before. Don't need to go into greater detail. And it just tells us about the recent bumps in the road that they have experienced, etc. So this is the latest thing that they're going to do. It's quite common, of course, for people to pay for other people's work and then try and produce it for the purposes of making a success. But hilariously, it involves matters which would be seen in a sense of duplicating the lives of Harry and Harry's wife, showing that in actual fact, what Harry's wife is going to do is make a movie that she believes is going to be about her. She is the main character. When she walks along the road in her oversized shoes, those cloven hooves clomping along, she hears a soundtrack in her head that backs what she's doing. She believes that everybody is looking at her, admiring her. The men are thinking, whoa, I wouldn't mind making the beast with two backs with her. And the women are thinking, gosh, she's so fashionable. If only I could be fashionable like her. That is what goes through her head. She thinks that when somebody turns and smiles at her, simply because they're being friendly and polite, that man is thinking, I wonder what it would be like to splice the main brace with her. That when a lady just says, oh, excuse me, because she's bumped into her by mistake, that she's automatically thinking, yeah, she realizes that I'm a fashion icon. It is that high the level of delusion. And therefore, it's very simple to believe that Harry's wife will have selected something like this to make it a story about her. She'll believe that the character in the story will be her, and the production and the way that it goes and what she will direct them to do will once again be all about her. Let's take a little look at what we might expect. Carly Fortune wrote in an excerpt, I make it as far as the front desk without anyone noticing me. It's a striking piece, carved from a large tree trunk, rustic but not shabby, the epitome of Mum's aesthetic, and there's no one behind it. I hurry past to the office, then shut myself in and lock the door. The room is more fishing hut than workspace. Pine walls, 2 ancient desks, a small window trimmed with a flimsy plaid curtain. I doubt it's changed much since the lodge was built in the 1800s. There's nothing to suggest how much time Mum spent here, except for a photo of me as a baby pinned to the timber and a faint whiff of Clinique perfume. Maybe that'll be changed to Elizabeth Arden hand cream for Harry. Dropping into one of the worn leather chairs, I switch on the plastic tabletop fan. I'm already sticky. Well, we can see how Harry's wife would fit in there, I guess. But it's stifling in here, one of the few spots in the building without air conditioning. I raise my elbows like a scarecrow and swing my hands back and forth. Pit stains are the last thing I need. See, I told you it was about Harry's wife. While I wait to cool off before changing into heels, I stare at a stack of our brochures, maybe unsold copies of The Bench or Spare. Brookbank's Resort, your Muskoka getaway awaits, declares a chipper font above a photo of the beach at sunset, the lodge looming in the background like a country cottage castle. It almost makes me laugh. It's Brookbank's Resort I failed to get away from. Maybe Jamie will forget I agreed to do this tonight, and I can sneak back to the house, slither into stretchy pants, and douse myself with a bucket of cold white wine. Sounding very much like Harry's wife so far, isn't it? The door handle rattles. No such luck. Fernie? Jamie calls. What's with the lock? You decent in there? I need 5 minutes, I reply, voice pinched. Here comes Harry, of course, pestering to see what Harry's wife is up to. You're not going to bail, right? You swore you'd do this, he says. Clearly, she's promised to roast his chicken. But the reminder is unnecessary. I've been dreading it all day, all my life, maybe. I know. I'm finishing up some paperwork. I clamp my eyes shut at the mistake. I'm almost done. What paperwork? Is it the linen order? We have a system for that. They'll edit that out. That doesn't sound like Harry, does it? My mum had a system for everything, and Jamie doesn't want me messing with any of them. He's worried. It's peak season, but many of the guest rooms are vacant. I've been back for 6 weeks, and Jamie thinks it's only a matter of time before I shake things up. I'm not sure if he's right. I'm not even sure if I'm staying. Well, the reference to guest rooms being vacant would be applicable because nobody would want to go and stay with the Sussexes. You can't shut me out of my own office. I have a key. I curse under my breath. Of course he does. It's going to be embarrassing if he has to drag me out of here, and I'm pretty sure he'll do it. I haven't made a scene at the resort since my senior year of high school. Doesn't sound like Harry's wife there. They'll have to change that bit. Plenty of scenes being made, and I'm not about to start. Being here sometimes makes me feel like I've regressed, but I'm not a reckless 17-year-old anymore. Taking a deep breath, I stand and smooth my palms over the front of the dress, possibly because it's not been ironed properly, so that does fit with Harry's wife. It's too tight, but the ripped jeans, there we are, Harry's wife again, I've been living in aren't appropriate for the dining room. I could almost hear Mum when I changed earlier. I know you'd rather wear PJs. I think they'll probably change that to, I know you'd rather give BJs all day, but we have to set the tone, sweet pea. I opened the door. Jamie's flaxen curls are cropped short and styled into obedience, but he has the same baby face from when we were young, and he thought deodorant was optional. Is it the linen order? He asks. Absolutely not, I say. You have a system. Jamie blinks, not sure if I'm teasing. He's been the resort's general manager for 3 years, and I can't get my head around it. In pressed pants and a tie, he looks like he's playing dress up. In my mind, he's still a lake rat in swim trunks and a bandana. He doesn't know what to make of me anymore either. He's torn between trying to please me, his new boss, and trying to prevent me from wreaking havoc. That sounds apt for the dynamic between Harry and Harry's wife, doesn't it? There should be a cosmic law against exes working together. You used to be fun, I tell him, and he grins. And there, with his deep smile lines and sky blue eyes, is the Jamie who once sang the entirety of Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill Stoned. Oh, they've got that bit right then. And wearing a purple caftan he'd nicked from Mrs. Rose's cabin. The fact that Jamie loved attention as much as he loved going commando was one of my favourite things about him. No one looked at me when Jamie was around. They'll change that bit. He was a good boyfriend, but he was also the perfect diversion. So did you, he says, and then squints. Is that your mum's dress? I nod. It doesn't fit. They've got Harry's wife nailed on there. I pulled it from her closet earlier this evening. Canary yellow. Or more accurately, I think they'll change that to banana of empowerment yellow. One of at least 24 brightly coloured sleeveless shifts. Her evening uniform. There's a beat of silence, and it's all it takes for me to lose my courage. Listen, I'm not feeling... Jamie cuts me off. You're not doing this to me, Fernie. You've been dodging the Hanovers all week, and they check out tomorrow. According to Jamie, the Hanovers have stayed at Brookbank for 7 summers, tip like they've got something to prove, and refer a ton of guests. From the way I've caught him frowning into his computer screen, I think the resort needs good word of mouth more desperately than Jamie's let on. Our accountant left another message today asking me to call him. They've already finished dessert, Jamie says. I told them you'd be right out. They want to give you their condolences in person. I scrape my nails across my right arm a few times before I catch myself. This shouldn't be so hard. In my real life, I manage a trio of indie coffee shops in Toronto's West End called Filter. I'm overseeing the opening of our 4th and largest location this fall, the first with an on-site roastery. Talking to customers is second nature. That'll be bigged up, I imagine, for Harry's wife, where she's managing a trio of 500 indie coffee shops in Toronto's West End, and that she's opening the even biggest one in the world, or such like. And there's a flavour for what's going on. Well, I've never read Carly Fortune before. Some of you might do. She seems to be fairly popular. But what's entertaining is that this novel has been taken and it's going to be given the Sadeem touch by the gruesome twosome. Carly Fortune might not care because she's got her money, but if she thinks that they're going to keep it like she's envisaged, that's not going to be the case. Although it's probably been chosen for the similarities that it envisages, Harry's wife is going to make it a story about her. You can imagine that the main character will probably become biracial. You can well imagine that the main character will be devastatingly beautiful, that men can't resist her, that she's kind, but has suffered tragedy at the hands of people who don't understand her. You watch. If, and it's a big if, because these two are lazy, if this actually turns into something which manifests through Netflix, watch for the similarities of how Harry's wife thinks the world sees her, which is really how she sees herself, and how this novel, if you've happened to have read it, finds itself changed to suit the narrative of Harry's wife. She's just going to insert herself into it. Many narcissists do this, and make it all about her, as is always the case. It remains to be seen if it will appear, but if it does, that's certainly something to watch out for. But either way, it's going to be a clusterfuck, because if Harry's wife is involved in it, it's going to be a right old dog's dinner. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.